Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and I just saw Godzilla vs. Kong. A rematch 59 years in the making has finally arrived, and it also marks the very first time in more than a year I've seen a movie in a theater. I went and saw this movie at IMAX at Universal City Walk. We're still in a pandemic though, and in any other circumstance I would have said, no, I'm watching this at home. I am not risking my life to go out to the theater and see it, but I had to make an exception with Godzilla vs. Kong because there's no way you could see this movie for the first time at home on your couch. Especially when it's another installment in my favorite film series of all time. I just couldn't bear the thought of seeing this for the first time on HBO Max. But I gotta say, when I went to the theater and saw it, I actually felt a lot more safe in a theater than I did going to Target or Ralph's. So real props to the team members at AMC at City Walk for doing their job and keeping everyone safe. You guys really rock. So that's the theater experience, as brief as that talk was. How's the movie? Well, I can't really talk about the plot because if I go into details about this movie, then I'll be spoiling some stuff, even though I think people going into this might have an idea of what to expect. But even then, the title is the movie. It's Godzilla vs. King Kong. These are two of the most iconic movie monsters ever created. King Kong debuted in April of 1933 in the United States, and Godzilla debuted on November of 1954 in Japan. Both of these are in my top 10 of favorite movies of all time. King Kong at number 8 and Godzilla at number 2. And they are both just masterpieces, and it didn't take long for them to actually fight for the first time. In 1962 with King Kong vs. Godzilla, the third film in both series, and the first one in color and widescreen. And I love the Japanese version of that movie only. And honestly, it's more because of the comedic satire on Japanese television. Like, it's an intentional comedy, and I love it for it. And while the monster scenes in that movie are fun as well, they don't quite reach the height of other monster scenes that Toho has made. And it would be really nice to see these two monsters fight again, but with more modern special effects. And on that end, Godzilla vs. Kong absolutely delivers. This has the best action and the best monster sequences in the entirety of the MonsterVerse, and I've liked all the other movies. Some of them I like more than others, but they all have their fair share of problems, and so does this movie. But in terms of all the monster stuff and action, it damn well delivers, and it's everything that I wanted to see in a rematch between the two most iconic movie monsters ever. If you've seen the trailers, you know that Godzilla has turned into sort of the villain of this movie. I won't say much beyond that, but it is really cool to see some actual classic Godzilla destruction, where he's attacking people and fighting off the military. Something that we never really got from the last two movies, and in this movie it damn well delivers and really shows you that Godzilla is not one to mess with. I mean, if you already haven't realized that within his 67 years of existence, then I don't know what to tell you. And as for King Kong, he's definitely made to be more of the hero this time around, and the movie mostly focuses on him, which I was fine with because out of the 3 movies that came out before this, only one of them focused on King Kong, so I was okay with him being the lead in this movie. And he has a lot of personality. He has a really good relationship with this young girl who is the only one who can actually communicate with King Kong. It's a different aspect to King Kong, and that little girl and her relationship with her adoptive mother, played by Rebecca Hall, is the human spirit of the movie. It's the real heart in a movie where the human stuff is actually kind of lackluster. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, the human stuff in a monster movie is lackluster? What a shock. Yes, I know you shouldn't expect a whole lot with the human characters going into this particular series, let alone a monster movie in general. But there were definitely some issues I had. I'm just going to jump into them right now. While all the scenes between Rebecca Hall and Kaylee Hoddle, the little girl, are very good, the rest of the human stuff is pretty generic and sometimes flat out dull. You have the lead of your movie, Alexander Skarsgård, which I really hate to say this about another guy named Alexander, but he is so flat and his character is just so bland and uninteresting that it really I don't know. Out of all the characters in this movie, he's the one that just bugged me the most, and he's supposed to be the strong-jawed lead. There's a subplot involving Brian Tyler Henry and Millie Bobby Brown's character from King of the Monsters. And while that side involving the human characters is honestly the more competent part of the movie for me, at least in terms of the human stuff, it got annoying at certain points, and it lent itself to a lot of really awkward and uncomfortable humor, which that's something I never thought the MonsterVerse movies did well. The reason I always liked the Gareth Edwards Godzilla above the other movies is because that movie didn't really rely on humor, and I couldn't be more grateful for it, because having rewatched Kong Skull Island, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and now watching Godzilla vs. Kong, I realized that this series just doesn't really shine when it comes to humor. And also there's a villain aspect, which I'm not going to go into full detail about, but I'll just say right off the bat, the second you see a certain character, and you might even get this hint of it in the trailer, you can automatically say, bad guy, right there. I do not trust that person right in front of me. I know the human stuff is kind of pointless to complain about, but I just had to bring that up and say that, yeah, the movie's not perfect. And now it's time for some personal nitpicks, which I don't normally like to do, but I just felt the need to address this. The score of the movie is fantastic. It's done by Tom Hulkenberg, who did the score for movies like Mad Max Fury Road, Deadpool, and fresh off of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And while his score is really good, why didn't he bring back the Godzilla theme? I mean, Bear McCreary brought the Godzilla theme for King of the Monsters, the actual Ifukube theme, and the theme for Godzilla in this movie, while it's not bad, it sounds like a theme that an internet show would make to try to avoid a copyright. That just bugged me, but the rest of the score I thought was pretty fantastic. And again, that theme itself, while I wish the actual Godzilla theme was in the movie, it was good. And then the other nitpick that I have, and I don't know if it's really a nitpick or if it's something that is legitimately a problem, but it mainly has to do with the Godzilla movies in the MonsterVerse. They do the minimalist amount to try to connect it to its Japanese roots. The first act of Gareth Edwards' Godzilla takes place in Japan, so you have that. But the rest of the movie, it's like, oh, we only have Ken Watanabe. And then in Godzilla King of the Monsters, oh, we have Ken Watanabe again, and then he's killed off. And in this movie, you have another Japanese actor, sure, but it's only one guy. The finale of the movie takes place in Hong Kong, and while it's an epic final battle, and I mean epic, I really would have liked them to set it in Tokyo. Because if this ends up being the last movie in the MonsterVerse, I would have really liked Godzilla's last outing in this series to be in Japan. And it just kind of bugged me that a character who has its roots set straight in Japan is kind of stripped away from those elements. But, I mean, I don't know how many people will consider those complaints. I might be the only asshole out there who's complaining about those aspects. But I will wrap this review up by saying this. Despite those complaints and those nitpicks, I thought the movie was good. It's not great though. There are some parts of this movie that don't make a whole lot of sense in terms of its script. A lot of the humor is pretty off-putting, and the characters really leave a lot to be desired. But all the other stuff that is solely the reason you see this movie damn well delivers. The monster action's exciting, it's brutal, Godzilla and Kong do not hold back in terms of their battles. The action when the monsters aren't fighting each other is spectacular, it has a great look to it. And if this really does end up being the last movie in the MonsterVerse, I'd say it's a good way to end it. Because hey, you had your goal. Let's get these two monsters to fight each other. And Legendary didn't at all panic when going up to this plan. They went full speed ahead and they got to what they needed to do. So I think this is a really fun movie. I'm going to watch it a second time before I do a spoiler review because I do plan on doing one. And if you can see this movie in a theater, I suggest you do it. But just mask up and please be respectful to the people working at the theater because they are really working hard during these still difficult times. But if you prefer to see it on HBO Max, then hey, that's your choice. But you should see this movie in any format regardless. And there you go, that's my review for Godzilla vs. Kong. I hope you enjoyed it. Now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one. Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching my review of Godzilla vs. Kong. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on social media, whether that be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go check out my Twitch channel and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.